Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. How are you all doing? My name is Amanda Ellis, and a very warm welcome to my channel. I've titled this video something like Surviving the Storm, Coping with the Storm, Living Through the Storm, Rebuilding After the Storm. What is the storm? It is manifold. It is taking place right now in our world on many different fronts. And I am recording this literally a few hours after Hurricane Milton has started to sweep its way through Florida. I did a video yesterday, which I'm going to refer to in case you didn't see it, on my other social media. I am Angelic Celestial Colours on Facebook and Instagram. The links are below in the description box. And on those two platforms, I try and respond as much as I can in real time when there are particular events going down in our world. But I know not everybody sees those videos, so I'm going to reference what came through yesterday, which has even more meaning waking up the following day. We're going to add to that. I'm going to pull some more cards, but I'm also going to be talking about, I think, some very important symbolism with regards to a few of the things that are being reported on after Hurricane Milton landed. So if you've watched me for a while, you'll know sometimes I put on my spiritual detective hat, and it's going to be a bit like that today. So get ready for a bit of a wild ride. The other thing to say is that if you can hear some background noise, it's actually very appropriate. We've got some builders next door, and I believe they're sweeping. So you might be able to hear sweeping. And what is that very famous phrase? Chop wood, carry water, both before enlightenment and after enlightenment. Before the storm and after the storm, chop wood, carry water. We've also got a great phrase in the UK, which is keep calm and carry on. It strikes me that a lot of Floridians, is that how you say it? People that reside in Florida seem to have got that mentality as well. And of course, North Carolina and many other places around the world that are going through physical storms. But let us first, before we begin, expand what we mean by storm, because storms can come into our life and are coming into our life and are definitely coming into our world right now for many different reasons, and they can take many different forms. They can be a literal storm, as in hurricane, tornadoes, whatever else is going on. But they can also manifest in different ways. It could be that a marriage has ended or a long-term relationship has ended, bringing definitely a storm into your life, particularly if it is unexpected. It could be an illness or a disease that has arrived at your door that is taking the shape of a storm. It could be redundancy. It could be anything really that rocks your world, and in essence is asking you to move to higher, safer ground. That can be literal in the case of a hurricane, or it is also to do with moving to higher ground in terms of our spiritual life, which also means asking for help. So, however the storm is manifesting right now in your life, hopefully this video is going to give you some guidance. Also, of course, what is going to come through is relevant for the wider macro storm, which is to do with moving Mother Earth from a 3D old Earth mentality towards what we're calling New Earth, fifth dimensional consciousness and beyond, the golden template, which does not happen overnight, which is why there are many storms that come in and they can destroy and they can create havoc, but they also typically will bring in their wake something resembling clarity, freshness, newness, and definitely rebuilding, regenerating, rebirth. Okay. So let's go back less than 24 hours to the video I put up yesterday afternoon. I'm going to reference some of the cards that came through, which have even more poignancy now. And also a couple of cards that I don't believe I showed. I haven't actually rewatched the video. I don't think I showed them. That might sound a bit strange, but actually to come on when you know a hurricane is about to slam into land and you know all of the devastation that might come in its wake, it is quite difficult sometimes to know what to say, how to say it. I do the best I can. And a couple of the cards I didn't actually understand, but I do this morning. So I'm going to show them to you, okay? Right, anyway, this was a card that I did show. Do you remember? I showed you this card. It is the 9 of Air, which would be the 9 of Swords in a traditional tarot deck. Now, the 9 of Swords is a card of worry and fear. Unsurprisingly, that energy was around yesterday before Hurricane Milton hit. But again, if we think about storm linking into other types of storm, usually there is a worry, a concern. There's a knowingness often that a storm is brewing in our life. That's something that maybe we haven't wanted to look at or we've ignored for whatever reason. The storm clouds are brewing, okay? But anyway, yesterday, this card, I talked about the fact that this lady was in fear and she was holding on to this pillar for her dear life. That literally could be literal, but also it felt as though the pillar was very much linking into the energy of a faith, a belief system, whatever her version of God is, her higher self. But clinging on to something that gives her hope, sees her through the storm. And of course, this is not gender specific, it's for everybody, yeah? But more than anything, we were looking at these purple skies, were we not? Okay, and there is definitely a face in this, this purple as well. I did actually say, I think a couple of weeks ago, do you remember that I had a dream and I dreamt of a sky full of purple and black clouds. And it felt as though the storm arrived quickly and with force and ferocity. But then obviously it left, but it was more the contrast of what came after the storm. And what came after the storm was a time of higher frequency, basically. And I interpret it as old Earth to new Earth. That's not to say, of course, it happens overnight, because it's not going to. But anyway, purple skies. So this morning, lots of these purple skies are being reported in photographs on social media. These are photographs from Florida that are doing the rounds, okay, that seem to come in on the back of this particular storm. So when I tuned into this colour purple that we also got yesterday, I was reminded of two things. I went to Archangel Zadkiel. Archangel Zadkiel is linked into transmutation and forgiveness. But what Zadkiel was saying to me is he was reminding me of the rainbow spectrum, and that violet, of course, is at one end and red is at the other end. Okay, so we have red at the start of the rainbow and we have violet at the other end of the rainbow. And violet actually has the shortest wavelength. But the thing about violet, if you think about it also in terms of the chakras, red is the base chakra, violet is usually higher up towards the crown. Within the Metatron system, we've got it at the soul star, which is the chakra just above your head. But it's to do with being closer in connection to spirit, being closer in connection to God, being closer in connection maybe to your higher self. So even though in times of storm and turmoil and fear, absolutely, we are also closer to God often than we ever have been. Whether that's because it's at those moments often we get down on our knees and pray, and then it's like, oh, actually, this has got me, whatever my version of God is, has helped me to get through the storm or not. You know, there's definitely that connection with it being violet linked into being proximity to God, but also violet and purple linked into transmutation. So I wanted to reference that purple sky. And yes, Prince, absolutely. Purple rain, raining down, transmutation as well. I also rather love this card that I pulled out. I just saw it today. Look at that. So, I mean, look at the contrast from this to this. But we'll come back to the sailor in a moment because I've got something to say about that. Let's also, though, say something more about the skies. Watching on the news as it was rolling in last night, of course, there were a number of tornadoes that preceded it. And I have to say, they struck absolutely an energy of terror within me. I don't live somewhere where really occasionally we get tornado warnings, but nothing like what was happening last night. And it reminded me of a particular card from a particular deck that I've got. So I went and got it. It's this card. Interestingly, it's, okay, we've got the tornado set against the sky, but it says healing chaos. Healing chaos. So it's this energy of the storm or the tornado. And remember, tornadoes can come into your life, not necessarily looking like this. It could be a person that comes into your life that turns your life upside down, maybe in a good way, maybe in a not so good way. Sometimes we learn from mistakes, do we not? You know, from taking the wrong path, or although is there ever really a wrong path? But particularly in relationships, you know, somebody comes in, literally sweeps us off our feet, promises us the earth, turns out to be a complete charlatan or a fraud, etc. You know, they come in like the tornado. I'm also seeing it manifesting in terms of false promises, false gods, false prophets as well. But anyway, what it brings in its wake, it is healing chaos, but we have got that word healing again. Healing follows the chaos. So yeah, I was shown that card and I wanted to bring that into the reading. And we'll just keep going and we'll build up a picture of what the messages are that want to come through. What else have I got written down here? I wanted to say something about the birds. I've been talking about the birds a little bit. I think in my last couple of videos I've mentioned the birds. Yeah, I think in my last reading for October I mentioned the fact that in Storm Helene somebody was seen to bring a whole bird's nest with the chicks, and I assume the mother bird, into his house with the branches and everything, because he felt the bird wasn't going to survive, left out there. And I said to you, who's saving who? Who's actually saving who? Because birds are, by nature, prehistoric. They've been here since time immemorial. And then yesterday on Facebook and Instagram, I had these cards that I was showing to you. There were two different decks. I can't remember what the other deck was now, but it doesn't matter. But they both showed bird nests. And I hadn't equated, you were talking about bird nests last video. But anyway, so we've got the bird nest again coming up as a message. And I said to you, and I'm repeating these messages because, let's be clear, unfortunately, there are going to be more storms that come in our world. And so it's very important, having gone through one, whether it's weather related or anything else, that we learn from it and that we remember for next time the teachings and also what helped us, and then throw out also what didn't help us. And I'll come to that in a minute as well. So the bird's nest. And what Metatron was saying yesterday is to imagine your home if you hadn't been able to flee, because some people weren't able to flee. Maybe they hadn't got the money, they hadn't got the resource, they just weren't able to. Or there were people that were staying to look after animals, that type of thing. And in that type of scenario, where you haven't been able to try to imagine your home as a nest. And I didn't go as far as I wanted to yesterday, but I'm going to now. actually, in hindsight, what an extraordinary thing that was I was saying, that Metatron asked me to say about imagine your home as the bird's nest. Because somebody else, I won't name them, I don't even know who this person is, don't want to know, some official was talking about your home will be your coffin. The contrast of that to people that maybe hadn't been able to escape for whatever reason, weren't able to, being told on national television, your home will become your coffin. What Metatron was saying to those people who couldn't escape was your home is your nest. Very much like the bird protects the nest, I will protect you. Yeah, I will protect you from any predator. What is the predator? The predator is that chance thing that comes in, whether it be a storm, another bird, whatever. Also, I'm hearing him say now, again, this is for future reference. I know it's an ongoing situation as well as I'm recording this, and the hurricane is still moving through the state. But it's to do with if you have fled, you've had to flee, for whatever reason. This can also be via war, maybe. You've had to literally flee your home, or you've had to flee your home because of weather events or something else. To ask Spirit to protect the nest. Okay, we're given the nest for a reason. I tied it also into the energy of Mother Mary and Safe Harbour. But anyway, the thing about birds is also, I've seen a lot of references this morning to the fact that there were pictures doing the rounds of cranes. I think they were sand cranes. Am I right in saying that? Anyway, cranes. Pictures of the cranes en masse in streets. And apparently they give out this rather unusual cry. So I looked that up in good old Ted Andrews' book. And Ted Andrews talks about the fact that the crane, let me get it, is to do with longevity. That word longevity, to me, is about storms can go on a hell of a long time, for one thing, but so too can your strength, your tenacity, and your hope, okay? But also longevity in terms of life, that when storms come into our life, it is but one moment in time. It can be an absolutely devastating moment in time. It can dismantle everything that you've known up to this point, uproot you, etc., so that you have to rebuild again. But it is but one moment in time. It's the thing about the rainbow. Life basically is the rainbow. It's made up of the sunshine, it's made up of the rain, which becomes the rainbow. Into every life must fall the rain. And into every life, actually, comes the storm in some shape or form. I'd like to say at this point, I'll go back to the crane in a minute, but I know I'm going to forget it if I don't say it now. I'd just like to thank this community who absolutely rose to the challenge of helping to hold the light for the people, for example, in Florida last night. I put out a call on my other social media. I showed images of Florida with the golden Merkaba over it. And I know that things like that have great power. And I asked for the winds to be reduced, and it was reduced from a Category 5 to, I believe, a Category 3. Still devastating, but if it had been a Category 5, it would have been even worse. So I believe that we have the power. And again, remember this for next time. We have to really step into belief that we can do this. That whether you believe it's man-made, whether you believe it's natural, we still have the power to be able to balance our environment, is what Metatron is saying. Okay, to balance our environment, to bring some balance. I was struck by the fact that Milton, many people were talking about the poet who apparently wrote a poem called Paradise Lost or something, very relevant as well, maybe. But I was seeing something a little bit more positive, which is that my immediate association with Milton was the baby sterilising fluid, that I remember, Milton's sterilising fluid. What is a storm? A storm sterilizes, sometimes brutally to the point of sterilization. Nothing can be maybe rebuilt upon that land. I mean, that's worst case scenario. But in a better scenario, it's to do with transmutation, okay? Cleansing in a very deep way. So, but the other thing about Milton and babies is the fact that, again, please remember this for next time, this storm was described as, all the rhetoric on mainstream media. I'm not saying it wasn't justified, but, was talking about the monster storm, the once in a century storm, the storm that was, you were dead basically if you were going to stay. Yeah. Monster. Try to see when you have a storm approaching that feels like a monster, whether weather or anything else. I was shown the baby within the storm. So you appeal to, it wasn't always a monster. It didn't start out as a monster. Appealing to the more innocent, pure, younger, less dangerous seed from which it grew. Yeah. So that, again, it's all to do with looking at symbolism of things. You can either look in a very dark way, or you can look, there's always a lighter way to look at things as well. And it's good to look at both, but remember there is always a lighter interpretation as well. My last video, bar one, I will just say this, slight detour, was to do with UK Prime Minister, and I was talking about the template of traitor and all the rest of it. And one comment came in terms of, oh yeah, Britain will be gone in 50 years. That is such a negative view. I hear it, but I refuse to give energy to that. I see something better. I see a golden future. So always remember that you have to be able to see out of all lenses. And ideally, a bit like Blue Peter that asked you which window do you want to look out of, the square window, the long window, the circular window. Choose the window that actually has the brighter view, always, whatever storm is going on in your life. Right, back to crane. So the crane. Now, I don't know whether this is a crane actually on this card. I mean, where has it gone now? Have I even got it to hand? No, I haven't even got it to show you anymore. So where do I want to put it? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The crane is to do with longevity. It's to do with, it's a powerful symbol of the ancient Chinese. It's a symbol of justice. It's linked into the sun. It's a solar symbol. It's also, because it's a bird of the waters, it's linked into the feminine aspect. In China, it's called the patriarch of the feathered tribe. And in Japan, it is Honourable Lord Crane. It's a very noble bird. And it's usually depicted with the sun and the pine trees in Oriental art. In Celtic mythology, however, it is sacred to the king of the underworld and heralds war and death. So, again, the dualistic view of it, but the fact of those cranes making that loud whooping sound, what this book says is that its haunting tone is reminiscent of a primal celebration over birth. So birth, death, rebirth, longevity, and nobility, I want to say, for that bird as well. Okay. Oh, there's the card. I don't know if that is a crane, but anyway, it sort of looks a little bit like one. It's the card of standstill. So I am just going to take it, though, and say that the birds appearing en masse as they did, animals are always messengers, are saying, in this moment, we are meant to stop, to reflect. Things are meant to come to a standstill for a reason. And what that reason is going to be different for every person. I think it's to do with we're meant to learn from these moments. This feels as though it's surveying the damage after a storm, whether that's after a conversation, after an event, after a weather pattern. There's meant to be a moment of standstill where we just take stock, we take a step back, we take a breath, we take time out. And it's in that moment of silence and stillness, go back to the purple skies, that you can truly hear God. Look at this. Is he not sort of at a standstill? He's not rowing his boat at this point. He's just standing still. And in that moment of stillness, he is at one. He will receive what he needs to receive in the moment, but also for the future. Yeah. I want to talk about the card that I didn't understand yesterday, and I don't think I showed it. Maybe I did. I don't remember. But it was of a captain on a ship. You might know where this is going. Captain on a ship. We had I had two cards out. Both of them showed this. And I thought, well, what's that saying other than what we know? That a storm is coming, yeah? The meteorologists are telling us a storm is coming. Someone's obviously on the lookout, yeah? What are you trying to say, Spirit? I don't get it. In one view, everything's on fire, yeah? Everything's on fire, calamity, destruction. But in this card, somehow they're on lookout, but they're sailing through it. The rainbow is in the sky. They're less perturbed. I understand what this is now. This is Lieutenant Dan, who's actually called Joseph. You can't make this stuff up. My last video, those of you that watch me regularly, you can confirm, if you watched it to the bitter end, thank you very much, did I not show the two Josephs? To the point where I thought, what does the name Joseph mean? And I looked up what Joseph meant. And Joseph in Hebrew means he shall add. And I talked about the fact that I was interpreting this as whatever we do, whatever step we take, whatever thought we put out there, if it is in alignment to our highest purpose, where we're meant to be at that moment, what we're meant to be doing, and we're also aligning to a higher power, we're asking for help, God will add to it. God will add to it. You take one step, I'll take you the next three. That type of energy. And the two Josephs came out of the Christ consciousness deck, and we had Joseph, the father of Jesus, and we had Joseph of Arimathea. Do you remember? Yeah? Well, yesterday, we've got Lieutenant Dan, who's called Joseph, in his boat. Now, before I get all the comments about what a despicable person he is, and he should have got out of his boat because he was endangering people's life who might have had to rescue him, I hear you. I've said it for you. But I want to now talk about the spiritual message that I think is in his story, because I do think there is one. This is what he looks like. He's called Joseph Malinowski, better known as Lieutenant Dan, right? And he refused to leave his houseboat, and he became the story in some quarters. He certainly made it over the ocean here in terms of the news, yeah? And people were trying to get him to move, and he was saying, no, I'm not leaving my boat. Remember the cards? I'm not leaving my coat. I'm not leaving my boat. I am the captain of my ship, even if it's a little houseboat. I believe he was offered accommodation. He said, no, I'm not doing it. I'm going to read you some of his words because, yes, he survived the storm. This was his view, and it ties into what I said yesterday about when you don't see the storm as other. It came from this card I showed you. When you don't see the storm as other, but you're able to, you are the storm. It's like me and the storm are one. It's not separate, because when something is separate from us, we fear it more. When it's part of us, we might still not be happy about it or fear it a bit, but it's not as big as the big bogey monster out there, you know? So this is what he said. He said, his boat was secure. I can only go so far. And he told how his boat has not yet sustained any structural damage. I think this was before it happened. I'm not taking on any water. I haven't even spilled my coffee yet. I really like his sense of humour. It's such a British thing to say. I know he's not British, but that is just so British. Replace coffee for tea, yeah? He says, I'm good. I've got everything I need. I've got plenty of water. I've got plenty of food. I could be in here for 2 weeks. I've got everything I need. Coffee, creamer, everything. But this is the bit that's important. He says, I didn't plan this. He's also talking about the spotlight and the storm. I didn't plan this. I didn't expect this. But this was God's plan for me to bring the world together, he said. I'm doing my thing, and whatever happens, happens. He added that he had talked to God, who told him, I got you. I got you. Oh, I've got shivers. Have you got shivers? So I know everything is going to be all right, the sailor said, noting, staying out here, it's stronger than what your fears are. Later on in the night, he was seen telling some reporter, I'm fine. And anyway, he's made it through the storm, and yeah, that's what we've got today. Here we go. There he is. I mean, in relation to these cards, is it not interesting? I think it is. And he's a Joseph. He's the third Joseph. Am I suggesting that everybody goes on a houseboat in the next storm? No, I'm not. Okay, to the comments that will definitely come in. No, I'm not. Of course I'm not. I am basically, he's teaching us something. He's trying to teach us something. How many times have you watched me and I've talked about, it's one of the cards in the Christ Consciousness deck, the one of Jesus on the boat in the middle of the storm. Let's get the card out again. This one, yeah? And a storm whips up. They're on a little fishing boat. All the disciples are really frightened. And they wake Jesus up to save him, to save them all. And Jesus rebukes them and he says, you had the power within you to calm the waves or to ride it through the storm. Yeah? And it's faith over fear. Did this guy not show faith over fear? I think he did. I know who I would want to be with in the middle of a storm. I'd want to be with him. I wouldn't want to be with the lady telling everybody that your house is going to be your coffin. Which leads us nicely on to when we go through storms in life, not just weather storms, be around the people who, excuse the pun, buoy you up. Yeah? Who tell you, you can get through this, you can do this, you can survive this, and not only can you survive this, you will thrive. Think about if you've just lost your job, or that's a good example actually, you just lost your job, and you have a whole load of doom mongers turn up on your doorstep who say, well, that's it, you're never going to get another one, you're going to end up on the streets, you're going to end up hungry, homeless, etc. Can that happen? Yes, we know it happens, but you get my point. You want to be around people who say, actually, that's really bad, you've been treated badly, but let me help you. Have you thought about knocking on that particular business or seeing if that person's recruiting? Or, maybe I could give you a job. Maybe I could help you out for a month or so. Maybe you could move in with me. What type of person, what type of energy, what type of frequency do you actually want to be around? The answer is obvious. That's not to say, of course, that we live in La La Land and we don't respect the storm that comes and the lessons that it has to teach us. But I think that, that guy really was modelling something for us. And, isn't it interesting? I'm just looking at his chest, actually. He's got a load of tattoos. I'm just trying to make out what his tattoos are. I think in the middle of his chest, that looks like a crown to me. I think he's got a crown in the middle of his chest. I mean, maybe it's not meant to be a crown, but I'm going to take it that looks a bit like a crown to me. And I'm sure that's not a nod to King Charles. I'm sure it's a nod to Sovereignty. Sovereignty. King of his world. That's what I'm going to say. He's king of his world. He also knows who is the true king, which to him is whatever his version of God is. He's just said God. He didn't say Jesus. He said God. I've chatted to God and God says, I've got this, meaning I've got you. Yeah, I've got you. At this point, of course, we do get into a conversation which is about, well, what about all the people that might not have survived or don't survive storms of whatever nature? And to this, I will always say, and it's not a cop-out, it's what I truly 100% believe on my children's lives, is I believe in soul contracts. And I believe that when it's your time, it is your time. But when it's not your time, it's not going to be your time. But as I say, that doesn't mean that you don't have to take precautions and act sensibly to also protect yourself. Put it this way, even if it's not your time and you choose to disrespect whatever storm is coming into your life, you're going to get more hammered than you need be if you just look after yourself or take the actions you need to move to higher ground, for example, yeah? Okay, where else would Spirit like me to go in this reading? I think I'm going to pull some cards for the fact that today is 10/10. And I'd actually forgotten with everything that's going on, but yeah, it is the 10/10 portal. I'm usually mark it in some way. I haven't got a meditation or anything to give you today, but I will probably try and do something for 11/11 instead, which is more Metatronic anyway. But it is 10/10, but not only 10/10, it's 10/10/10. How do I get to that? 10 and 10. 1 and 1, and then add up 2024. So 2024 is 2, add 4 is 8, and then add 8 and 1 and 1, and you get 10. Yeah, that's how we get to it. So we've got 3 10s. I mean, 10s are about, I'm thinking about the tarot, about lots of things. I've got them out here actually, but we've got 4 of them. Sorry, we've got 3 of them. We haven't got 4 of them. There's one missing. I mean, number 10 in the tarot is also the Wheel of Fortune, destiny, fate. We're in fated times. It feels as though today on 10/10 there is a degree of destiny at play. Watch for things that happen, including your own thought processes. It's a day where you can manifest things in. It's also a day where there is endings as well. Let's look at the 10s in the tarot. The first 10 is the 10 of Swords. This is an ending. No doubt about that. There is an ending. This guy is being carried off the battlefield and there are dark clouds overhead. Yeah. This doesn't have to mean, of course, literal death, but it's the end of something. I mean, I'm feeling that for some people, not all, some might get to a place, not just in USA, but in other places which are devastated by physical storm or war, that actually I can't go back. It's not worth my while going back. I did say a number of years ago, it might be 5 years ago, I really can't remember. I remember doing some work. It's probably on one of the Mother Earth videos. There's a compilation, a playlist, which I think is titled Mother Earth or Earth Changes. And I remember saying with regards to USA that I felt there were definitely going to be places that will become uninhabitable. And it didn't feel that far off, to be perfectly honest. There was going to be parts of the country that just you're not going to be able to carry on living in. And it felt very much linked into climate and weather. And Florida, shall I pull a card just on Florida, actually, before we go any further? Let's just pull a card on Florida. Let's go to another tarot deck, because I want all the, in case we get a 10. No, I'm going slightly off track here, but not really. We'll go back to the 10/10 thing in a minute. We'll just pull, right, there's 2 cards just flown out of the deck there for Florida. What are they? Hardly even, one of them is a 10. I'm sure I've got followers in Florida. I'm sure you love your homes, and I'm not saying you've got to move right now. But we've got the Ten of Wands, which is a heavy burden to carry on living there. I mean, I live here in the UK. We've never been under hurricane watch, although interestingly, I will say, this is something to do with the power of light workers who hold energy for others, who hold the space for others. And I believe that when we do that, we can, as I said at the start of this video, we can lessen the severity of things. Because we all mirror each other. We're all mirror reflections of each other. What's happening to you there is happening to me here. Even though I haven't got the raging hurricane going on, you and I are one. That's what I believe. Because a really odd thing happened on our news today, breakfast time. I didn't see it, but apparently the weather girl was reporting the weather for today, and it showed a hurricane about to hit London. It's not about to, but it was like a malfunction on their computer, and it showed there was going to be winds of 1,300 miles an hour or something going through London. That just, to me, it was like, why today of all days has that computer done that? I felt it was energetic. It was like a symbolism. It was like, I feel there's a lot of people in the UK been rooting for you in USA, in Florida. And it's as though we've taken a little bit of that energy and pulled it in, but it's transmuted. It's not going to manifest here. Anyhow, guys, that was just a weird one, wasn't it? Very strange. I've never known that before. Right. The cards for Florida, it's a heavy responsibility staying. There's a heavy burden there. It's also to do with the burden of always having to rebuild and pick up the pieces, because what about next year's hurricane season? What's that going to build? What's that going to bring? We've got the card of withdrawal, the Eight of Cups. Some people choosing to walk away. Let's just see if we can get one more card. I'm also feeling that Eight of Cups withdrawal. It could be this businesses moving away. I mean, we have to be quite, businesses have to be mercenary. It's about making money. And if look at that, Two of Swords, choice points, stuck in the middle. Two of Swords, crossroads. King of Wands, leadership. What do we do here? It's, how many times can we rebuild? How many times can we go through this, basically? One more card, please, for Florida. I know I'm going to alienate a few people with this comment, but I'm still going to say it because it's my channel and I can say what I want. But I think you've got a good governor. I like Ron. Funnily enough, I did a video on him about a year ago. And it came up as a memory the other day. Yeah, we've got the Six of Swords, which is the card of moving away, with the Hermit. There's people going to be thinking of moving away. But Seven of Cups, choices. Out of the frying pan into the fire. You've got to be really mindful of where would you move to, and is it any better? Because to be honest, if we look at the world, I'm not trying to be depressing here, but we're in times of upheaval in many places. There aren't that many places which aren't going to be affected by something. So I'll come back and look at this another day, okay, and try and give some steerage. The bit of hope that I can give you, there's two bits of hope actually, that's nice. The young people, it's as though I can understand if you're maybe a bit older and you've lived through a lot of hurricanes and it's like, we've just had enough. We're just going to move. We can't take this anymore. But I feel as though there's a younger vibe wanting to come in who's going to say, we're going to give it a go. We're still going to stay. Or the young at heart, It's not really an age thing. It's to do with a mentality thing. Still feeling as though you've got a bit of oomph in you, a bit of fire in your belly. It's like, no, we can do this. And it's with the card of unity. Unity. It's beautiful. Anyhow, guys, I'll come back to look at America and places to live and relocation and earth changes as soon as I can. But let's go back to today. I was talking about 1010, was I not? I was going to pull some cards for that. But yeah, I was saying we've got the 3 tens, so fated moments. Let's just look at the other 10s in the tarot. So we've got this one, as I mentioned that already, 10 of Swords, can be an ending or a moving away. 10 of Wands, we've sort of just covered as well with regards to Florida. But again, it might just be that you're feeling in your own life as though I just can't carry on in this way anymore, in this manner anymore. Something has to give. I mean, my God, yeah. I mean, I feel that as well, to be perfectly honest. Something has to give. It's just like responsibility, duty. It's like, can I really keep carrying all of this? And do I want to? And who said I even had to in the first place? How did I get myself into this? I'm not talking about myself here, just, as I'm sure many of you can relate to this. But remember, 3 tens, it feels as though 3 completed. We've also got the 10 of Cups, which is a nice one to do with, harmony, relationships, happy ever after, the family. And 10 of Pentacles, which is inheritance, solid financial security, material soundness, I just want to say. Abundance doesn't just have to be money, of course, can also be health. So it's as though we've got 3 of the 10s, but not the full deck. 10s to me, yeah, it's endings, it's completion, it's the end of the line, but in a good way, because after the 10, we get into the new energy again. It's we get into the energy of, or we step into the energy of the what am I trying to say? The knights and the kings and the queens. So things closing out at this moment in time for the new. And back to the storm energy. That's what storms try to do as well. Okay, I'm going to, I think, move now and pull some cards from this deck. Is there anything else I've written down here? I think that's it. Oh, I would just want to say this, though, actually, about storms generally, but reference to Milton. They show the best and the worst of humanity, do they not? So I did see the little dog, don't worry, it has a happy ending, that had been abandoned on the freeway by some cruel, heartless bastard. I'm sorry, I don't often swear, but really, I hope that animal is microchipped, and I hope that family or person is brought to account for what they did, because if you have to abandon your animal, not that you should, but sometimes again in storms, maybe you've become ill or you've got no money, you can't feed the dog, take it to a shelter, put it somewhere where it's going to be safe and found. Somebody else can look after it. But this person basically tied it to a post so it couldn't even flee from the rising waters. Fortunately, from that energy of total abandonment came salvation. Somebody stopped and rescued the dog. Thank God. So again, duality, abandonment, salvation. Somebody was that dog's saviour. Somebody was that dog's good Samaritan. Be the good Samaritan in times of storm. Don't be the mean, heartless bastard, because karma will whip your backside, basically. We're in times where none of us can get away with anything. And if you think you can do something like that and it doesn't come back around in some way, you're very misguided. I know the people watching me would never do that. But I think we just have to remember that as well. The laws of karma do still exist on this planet, have not become redundant. And if you do something like that, particularly to a defenseless animal or a child or, well, anybody, to be honest, it'll come back. In some shape or form, it will come back. Not in the same way. You're not going to be tied to a post, probably, and abandoned in a field with rising water. But in some other way, abandonment will come in to your life, or some other, way it manifests. But yeah, the positive of that is that somebody rescued the dog, which I thought was lovely. And why I'm talking about the dog is, again, dogs, animals as messengers. The dog is a symbol of loyalty, loyalty. So staying loyal to people through times of crisis, staying loyal to your God through the storm, whatever your God is, whatever it is you believe in. Don't abandon your faith. Stay true to your faith. Where's that card from the Christ Consciousness deck that I showed you earlier? I've probably put it back into the deck. But, you know, the one of the disciples on the boat in the storm, they temporarily had abandoned their faith. Jesus reminded them of it. Don't abandon your faith in times of crisis and storm. Peter as well, you know, the energy of Peter and denial. Don't be Peter. Don't deny. Don't deny. I feel as there's a message coming through here in terms of religious persecution as well. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of what you believe in. Don't hide your light under a bushel, basically. These are times where we have to be brave enough to stand up and say whatever it is. You know, I believe in Jesus. I believe in the angels. I am this. This is who I am. It runs through my body and my blood. Yeah. And stay true to that. Okay. Right. Anything else? I think I'd just like to spray the Joseph spray. So back to Joseph again. Joseph feels as though he helps us to rebuild. So Joseph, the father of Jesus, here we've called Joseph divine protector. So yes, we can turn to Jesus and Joseph for protection. But there's this thing here about Joseph as the builder, the master builder. If Joseph was a number, he would be a number 4, okay? I wonder who the 4th Joseph is. I feel there's a 4th Joseph to come onto the world stage soon that's going to help us. And it's somebody who we don't necessarily know of. When I say it's a new Joseph, I just mean it's not one of the ones that we might already know of that's been in the spotlight for a while. It's like this Lieutenant Dan, you know, somebody else is going to rise. Anyhow, Joseph is the master builder, you know, the carpenter. It's like chop wood, carry water. Give me a piece of wood, give me a nail, give me a hammer. I will help you rebuild. I'm being shown the rebuilding, the scaffolding, honest work. I talked in my last video about the return of the masculine template, the traditional male skills. It's very Joseph. Right, let's just spray this and see what we get. And let's also bring that energy of Joseph to you. More than anything, he wants to be with you, right beside you. And I feel as though his energy is really in your face today, which is unusual for Joseph because he's got about humbleness. But I'm feeling as though he's wanting to stand right in front of you, literally right in front of you. And it's like he's got his sleeves rolled up and he's like, how can I help? What can I do? Give me something to do. Give me something to do. How can I help? And some people are not used to that. It's like, oh no, it's all right. I can manage on my own. 10 of Wands. 10 of Wands. It's all right. I can do it myself. No, if you do that, you're going to end up like that. Okay, 10 of Swords. We don't want that. To get to the 10 of Cups and to the inheritance, we need to be pulling together. We need to be helping each other. And he's a helper. He's a helper energy. Really, really beautiful. Okay. I'm also going to encourage you, of course, in rebuilding after the storm to strengthen your base chakra, which will have been traumatized. The color of the base chakra is red, crimson. Sorry. Interestingly, my stomach starts to rumble as I talk about the base chakra, you know. Keeping your belly full, keeping the roof over your head. I saw the stadium that was supposed to be housing the people that were helping had blown off in Florida. What's it called? Let's have a look. Roof blew off. So lots of Josephs are going to be turning up to rebuild the roof. Yeah. Tropicana Field shows devastation wrought by Milton. Shocking images have emerged showing the damage sustained at Tropicana Field as Milton surged through Florida early this morning. The stadium, home to Major League Baseball Tampa Bay Rays, lost its fabric roof as the eye of the hurricane ripped it apart and left it in tatters. Okay, so fabric roofs and hurricanes don't seem to be a good thing, do they? So there's also something here about the Josephs of this world, of which you might be one. And it's, of course, not just a male prerogative. It's also women with the masculine energy. I'm being shown the architect, the surveyor energy, the planner, the builder, building back stronger, building back more robustly, that type of thing, yeah? I feel as though I've got the energy of, I don't know who it is. When I say Elon Musk, it doesn't have to be Elon Musk. I don't think it is Elon Musk. It's somebody like him who's got money, though. Somebody like a Dyson type person. It's an inventor. It's a creator. It's somebody who's actually going to look at structures and say, you know, it's that parable of the man who built their house on sand, you know, or out of wood. Have to build buildings that are capable of enduring the times that we're in now. And make no mistake, we're in these times. So there's no point building back the same. There's going to be a boom in construction. I mean, I know it's an obvious thing to say, but I'm just feeling it's a different type of construction. There's a skill set coming in. There's a skill set coming in that is of a higher level than before. That's not dissing who's already doing it. Help is coming is what I'm wanting to say. But it's also like download of ideas. It's like I'm seeing somebody with a nail and a piece of wood, and it's like they're just about to do this. It's like, hold on a minute, is that the right way to do that? Would that be better if I used that rather than this? That type of thing. Okay, right, let's pull a couple of other cards. So yeah, strengthen the base chakra that I was also saying, wasn't I? Let me just spray this one as well. So pouring the red energy down into the base chakra, tailbone, Mother Earth as well, feeding Mother Earth with the red energy. So we talked about the violet skies earlier, didn't we? The purple skies. That's what the air element is receiving. Mother Earth needs to receive the red energy, nourishment, deep within her core. But also just for you, whatever storm you're going through, to put your roots down. Interesting. I'm seeing that by you putting your roots down, it helps to strengthen her. It's like the root system. Lots of people's root systems help to strengthen her wobbliness. Okay. Right. Let's end with 3 cards from here. We have patience. Don't think that is a crane, but whatever it is, it's got long legs. But no, in all seriousness, we've got patience. Things don't get rebuilt overnight. We've also got the card of simplicity. We've got the card of change. I wanted to take one off the top. We've got protection as well. That's nice. Right, patience, simplicity, and change. Keep it simple, keep it simple, keep it simple. When you're building back, when you're going through a storm, or you're coming out of a storm, or you're right in the middle of it, keep it simple. Literally, you know, in this moment, in this hour, what do I need to do? Forget the rest. You see, modern society is full of fluff, basically. Stuff that we consume, look at, do. But do we really need to be doing it? Do we really need to be doing it? 9 times out of 10, no. Look at this guy, Elder of Water. Do you think he does not Is he not leading a more simplified life? A pared down life? A life with less distractions? A simpler life, but a fuller life? A simpler life can be a fuller life. That we have, what is the storm trying to teach sometimes? That the material world is of the least importance. I have friends and followers who have gone through Hurricane Helene in North Carolina, who've lost a lot. Their communities have lost everything. But yet it's teaching the power of simplicity, and the importance of simplicity, and what's truly important. What do you think is truly important to that guy? The latest watch, or mobile phone, or series on Netflix, or latest bit of gossip, or latest truth bomb? I don't think so. He knows what the truth is. He knows where the power is. He's at one with life, himself, and his God. That's the change that's coming in. That's what Mother Earth is trying to teach us as well. And it's not fantasy la la land. It's actually happening. But it's going to take time. We have to have patience. But there is protection also for us during the storm. But it's what I said earlier. It's to do with like soul contracts. It's like, yes, you're protected, but you equally have to take steps to protect yourself as well. That's what I truly believe. For example, somebody like Archangel Michael, we can call on Archangel Michael for protection, yes. But Michael ideally wants to teach you how to protect yourself as well. Not just to be the sticking plaster. You can absolutely call on him in times of desperation or if you need him. But he's trying to help, he's getting you to a place where you learn how to protect yourself too. So for example, in a storm, are you going to stand right underneath the tree or the tallest building? The tallest building is going to get hit by lightning. Lightning is attracted to the tallest thing or the tree. So you don't stand under there with a metal pole. Yeah? So protection, yes, but also common sense is what he's saying too, yeah? It's the energy of Joseph, to add. Joseph means to add. You take one step and then we will help you the next three. We can't do it all for you because you're on a planet of free will. You have to learn how to do some of this yourself and absolutely to build back, but we will help. So it's the energy of, field of dreams, isn't it? Believe it and they will come. But equally, you've got to be the one that also picks up the piece of wood first, or picks up the phone, or asks, that type of thing. Yeah. We have the energy of openness as well. Just split the deck on that openness. That the planet, the universe is receptive to all possibilities, to all opportunities, to all plans. That actually in times where something has been taken away and it feels as though there is a nothingness, there can be an openness to something that you've never dreamt of before. It can remind you of your soul purpose. It's like it's like sometimes if you lose a job and it's, I don't know, you're working as a banker or something or in finance but you don't really enjoy it. You're serving somebody else's master and then you're let off and your world falls apart, but actually you discover, do you know what? I always wanted to be a plumber, and you go and train to be that and you love it. It's that type of thing. So there is a freedom also that comes in from a place where things have been seemingly taken away. Let's end with a card from the Christ Consciousness deck. Sorry if you can hear my stomach. Feeding of the 5,000. sharing. There is enough for all. We've got the card of sacred union. Over and above the masculine and feminine energy with this card, Mary Magdalene and Jesus, it's the energy of the Vesica Pisces, which I think is what we're being shown here. The Vesica Pisces, the two circles overlapping and creating this vortex in the middle. This is potential. This is opportunity. This is growth. This is the new. And it arrives from this place of, oh my, it's moving from that to this. But how you get from that to that is you have to go into what I'm hearing is the golden crucible. And the golden crucible energy is that place that nobody ultimately really often wants to go to. It's like I'm being shown lots of people with their feet at the edge of it. It's like I don't really want to go there, where I'm uncomfortable, where I'm out of my comfort zone, where I'm being forced to go, where I'm being told to go, because an event, a storm has come in. I'm now there. And in that moment, alchemy happens, magic happens. I've said for a long time that I feel as though one of the things that's going to get us to New Earth is Mother Earth is going to show us and teach us how to do it. And she will bring us together again. She will bring us together and back into oneness. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it there then for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you've got something out of this and it's helped you, please do pass it on. Or if you can't pass it on, please just give it a like, because that helps more people to see it. And I would really appreciate that. Thank you very much, everybody. Take great care. Lots of love for everybody going through the storm right now, whatever shape it's taking. And I've just noticed that on the bottom of the deck, we've got this one, the open door, Christ within you. So let Christ be with you, and take care. Lots of love. Bye-bye for now. Bye.